Sometimes when I'm talking with someone, I feel like I'm one of these announcers on TV who gets just a limited amount of airtime, and there's some timer somewhere that's saying that you're about to go to commercial break, so you just have 15 seconds left to say what you're about to say. So I'm racing through what I'm saying, and there's a stress in my voice. I'm talking like, and another thing that also, and it's just like I'm chasing. I'm just so desperate to get to each next word, because there is this feeling that the timer's going to run out. And this comes from not any background I have in broadcast, which I don't. It comes from something that we all experience, which is that people seldom make space for us. And when people do, it is a gift. But it's a gift that's so rare that even when we get it, we're not sure what to do with it, and we're not used to having it. So we still race through those thoughts. And being on the other end of it, when we can be someone who is giving that gift to other people, where we put ourselves aside, we remove any semblance of any amount of time, limited amount of time being used up during our interaction. When we give that to people, there is this term that I'm going to borrow from Simon Sinek, who I think borrowed it from someone else, which is emptying your bucket. That people need to empty their buckets, right? You can tell when people are chasing after their words, as I described, and they're trying to get to the next thing, that there is something valuable for them, that they are talking to you and you are listening to them, that you're receiving something. This can be something trivial, like just an interesting story that I just really wanted to share with you, or it's just something that was really funny, an experience that I had in the past. And it can be something that is heavier. It's this difficult emotion that I'm trying to process with you. It's this thing that it's just this pain that I've been carrying around, that I've been trying to deal with, and you happen to be the person that I've chosen to try working that out. I have some urge to express myself about that with you. And especially in those moments are the times when we can really use someone who will make that space for us and just let us dump it all out. And there's a wrong thing that we do really often in those situations. I know better, I still do it, which is we prefer solving over validating. I'm not the first to have this idea. This may not be the first time you've heard it, but here's what is in essence what's wrong with it. I often talk about tense, past, present, future. When someone is talking to you, even if they're talking about events that happened in the past, in fact, especially, it's really, for them, it's about the present. Because something that happened in the past is, there's a reason that they're presently talking to you. There's something right now that's happening inside of them that wants to express and share the present moment with you. When we solution, we thrust them into the future. We take them into a future tense that is about that present moment being over and having a lid on it, being put on a shelf, and we're moving past it. Now we're talking about how do we solve it. We should also be aware that this is a little insulting, because we're implying that that person doesn't know how to solve the problem. Granted, that may be true too. Maybe they don't know how to solve their problem. But even still, that probably isn't what they need right now. Maybe if they're asking for it, but it's probably not what they need. What they need is for someone to be with them in that moment. I have had that experience a lot in my professional life, where it was so meaningful for me. The person probably didn't even realize it, where I just wanted someone to tell me, after I had told them something that had happened to me, you're not crazy. I see what you're seeing. And I needed that so much more than, well, maybe you should go talk to that person. Or maybe you should, right? Steps that you can follow. I actually found it a little annoying because I am an adult. I know how to deal with those situations, and really none of these solutions were that novel, or they didn't really challenge my thinking about the situation. They were just frankly pretty obvious. And what was blocking me in those moments was just the rage or the turmoil of all of these emotions and this questioning, this frustration that, perhaps only I could see what I was seeing. And so to have someone make the space for me and just listen and be there and validate was really important. And the way that we listen to people is, I think we all just kind of take for granted how to be a good listener. And the way that most people would explain how to be a good listener, it's actually how to be a good hearer, somebody who hears. And if it's better than that, often I can hear really well, and I can do these kind of active listening protocols, and I can just kind of bounce things back. And I think there's a step that we can take beyond that, where we not only make that person feel heard, but we make them feel like in the whole conversation, it was their thoughts, it was what they were dealing with, it was their emotions, but they were able to use a second mind, that they were able to have purely their own thinking with the resources of their own mind and of your mind. It's that deepness of what I call co-thinking, that deepness of listening and connection, really, with people, that they don't sense in you that timer running out, where they feel like they need to get their words out because they can tell you are getting ready to say something and you're waiting for your moment to jump in and say it. And to let people off the hook, I mean, first of all, we're conditioned to be that way. We're expecting that someone's going to jump in and interrupt us. So we need to kind of show them that after they're done talking, sometimes I just wait and I listen and I nod and I wait for something else to come up. Something that therapists do a lot, actually. It's just making that space. It's a skill to be developed. And when we do that, the message that we send to them, to go back to talking about past, present, and future, is one about velocity. Fast, slow, and standing still. When we're fast, we're waiting for our turn to speak. We're interrupting. We're talking over the other person. We may be even doing things that we think is amplifying and complementing the conversation, because we're kind of boosting them and we're saying, oh, I've thought that too. Or that happened to me once too, but go ahead. It's these sort of things that it just distracts. It kind of takes the spotlight off of them. It takes them out of the feeling that they are sharing your mind as a resource for their thinking. And it's not to say that we should always be this way and we should always talk to people this way. I think people do want to have conversations where they're sharing. They don't want to feel like they're being, interviewed all the time. But to get people into that moment is something that is it's really special. And so that was being sped up. That's going fast. Slowing down is slowing down. We know the meaning of the word, but it's important to acknowledge that we can't go from being sped up to being still. We have to slow down in between. It's the process that gets us from one to the other. And so being still is about showing in one way or another that other person that I'm not just making time for you. I am stopped. You are my priority right now. You are the moment. Take as much time as you need. When we give someone a 30-minute block, again, there's nothing wrong with this. We have, life happens, and sometimes we have to tell our friends and our professional associates, I just have 30 minutes. And I think that's actually a good thing to let people know, that to just give them an idea of how much time they have. But if we can manage stillness, it's about saying, you know what, let me just put everything aside right now. This is important. Don't worry about anything else. I'm here for you. I'm available. Let's talk about this. And that is one of the greatest gifts you can give to humanity. Being present, being still, and co-thinking. Lending all of yourself and all of your mind to their thinking. And that's a thought I thought was worth sharing.